Addiction, addiction. When we hear this word, we often think of alcohol or drugs, but in today's modern world, addiction has evolved, disguising itself as convenience, entertainment, or even productivity. Think about it, that constant need to refresh your social media feed, the drive-through line that seems shorter than cooking a meal, the endless stream of shows you just to finish. These, my friends, are the invisible addictions of our time. They creep into our lives, promising a quick fix, a moment of escape, a boost of energy. But what they deliver is often the opposite: anxiety, emptiness, a feeling of being constantly behind. Today, we're going to shine a light on these 10 modern addictions, the ways they hold us back from truly living, and most importantly, the actionable steps you can take to break free and reclaim control of your health and your happiness. Let's talk about social media. It's become our virtual town square, a place to connect, share, and yes, sometimes compare. But when does scrolling turn into something more? When does the need to be seen, to rack up those likes, start to run our lives? We check our phones first thing in the morning, setting the tone for our day based on filtered images and curated captions. We scroll during meals, during conversations, during precious moments that could be spent truly connecting with the world around us. But here's the thing. Social media is often a highlight reel. We're seeing the best versions of people's lives, not the full picture. And when we compare our everyday lives to those carefully curated snapshots, it's easy to feel inadequate, envious, even a little bit lost. But there's hope, my friends. We can break free from this cycle. We can learn to use social media as a tool for connection, not a source of comparison. We can reclaim our time, our energy, and our joy. Let's be honest, we live in a fast-paced world. We're constantly on the go, juggling work, family, and everything in between. And in our quest for convenience, fast food has become a way of life. But here's the thing about fast food. It's designed to be addictive. The salt, the fat, the sugar, they trigger those pleasure centers in our brains, leaving us craving more. And before we know it, we're stuck in a cycle of unhealthy choices. But it's not just the food itself that's addictive. It's the culture it represents. We've become addicted to speed, to instant gratification. We've lost touch with the rhythm of cooking, with the joy of nourishing our bodies with whole, real ingredients. And the consequences, they go far beyond a few extra pounds. We're talking about increased risks of heart disease, diabetes, even certain types of cancer. We're talking about a generation growing up on food that doesn't fuel their dreams. Now, I'm not saying you have to become a gourmet chef overnight, but I am saying that cooking at home, even if it's just a few times a week, is one of the most loving, empowering things you can do for yourself and your family. Start small. Pick one night a week to cook a simple, healthy meal. Think roasted vegetables, a hearty soup, a big green salad. Once you get the hang of it, add another night. And here's a secret. Cooking at home doesn't have to be time-consuming. There are countless recipes out there for quick, nutritious meals that can be made in under 30 minutes. You can even prep ingredients ahead of time, so dinner is just a quick assembly away. Remember, food is more than just fuel. It's information for our bodies. When we choose to nourish ourselves with whole, real ingredients, we're not just feeding our hunger, we're feeding our potential. We're choosing energy, vitality, and a life filled with flavor. Have you ever found yourself glued to the screen episode after episode, wondering where the time went? It's so easy to get lost in another world with endless entertainment at our fingertips. But let's be honest, it's about escaping. We get sucked into these digital vortexes, numbing our minds. It's a craving for something to fill the void. And what happens when the screen fades to black? We're left feeling drained and often lonelier. But there's hope, my friend. We can break free and reclaim our time. It's about finding balance and making conscious choices. Enjoy entertainment without letting it consume us. Remember, you are in control of your time and choices. Break free from streaming binge addiction and rediscover the joy of living in the present moment. Let's talk about everyone's favorite pick-me-up, caffeine. That morning cup of coffee, the afternoon soda, the seemingly harmless energy drink. They've become so ingrained in our routines. Many of us rely on these caffeine hits to power through our days, to wake up, to focus, to simply function. But what happens when this dependence turns into an overload? When we find ourselves craving caffeine, not just for the taste, but for the jolt it provides. This is where the danger zone begins. Our bodies become so accustomed to the constant caffeine surge that we experience withdrawal symptoms without it. Headaches, fatigue, irritability, the very things we were trying to avoid. We get caught in a vicious cycle, relying on caffeine to combat the crashes it creates. We become slaves to the energy roller coaster, never truly addressing the underlying causes of our fatigue. And the consequences go beyond just feeling jittery or having trouble sleeping. Excessive caffeine can lead to anxiety, digestive issues, and even heart problems. It's a slippery slope that can have a real impact on our physical and mental well-being. Now I understand that giving up caffeine completely might sound daunting, especially for those of you who can't imagine a morning without it. But here's the good news. It doesn't have to be an all-or-nothing approach. Start by becoming aware of your caffeine intake. How much are you actually consuming each day? Once you have a clear picture, you can start making gradual changes. How about replacing 1 cup of coffee with a healthier alternative? Green tea, for instance, has a lower caffeine content and offers additional health benefits. Or perhaps you could experiment with herbal teas. Peppermint, chamomile, ginger. They're all naturally caffeine-free and can be incredibly soothing and flavorful. And here's a simple but powerful tip. Prioritize hydration. Often we mistake thirst for hunger or fatigue. So before you reach for that extra cup of coffee, try drinking a large glass of water. You might be surprised by how much more energized you feel. Remember, breaking free from caffeine overload is a journey, not a race. It's about finding what works best for your body and discovering sustainable ways to boost your energy naturally. Let's be honest, there's a certain thrill that comes with online shopping. It's so easy, so convenient. A few clicks and voila, a package arrives at your doorstep filled with goodies. It's like a little present to yourself, a mood booster disguised as retail therapy. But when does this harmless indulgence transform into something more compulsive? When the excitement fades and we're left with a pile of packages, a maxed out credit card, and a lingering sense of emptiness. That's when we have to ask ourselves some tough questions. We live in a world of instant gratification, constantly bombarded with messages tempting us to buy, buy, buy. It's no wonder so many of us fall into the trap of online shopping addiction. We get caught in a cycle of seeking validation and fulfillment through material possessions, only to find that the void remains. But here's the truth. True happiness and contentment can never be found in a shopping cart. It comes from within, from nurturing our passions, deepening our connections, and living a life aligned with our values. Breaking free from the grip of online shopping addiction begins with awareness. Start by identifying your triggers. Is it boredom, stress, loneliness? Once you understand the root cause, you can develop healthier coping mechanisms. Instead of reaching for your phone every time you feel the urge to shop, try engaging in activities that bring you genuine joy. It could be spending time in nature, reading a captivating book, learning a new skill, or simply having a heartfelt conversation with a loved one. And here's a radical idea. How about embracing the beauty of less? Minimalism isn't about deprivation. It's about surrounding yourself with things that truly spark joy and letting go of the rest. Imagine the freedom that comes with a clutter-free home and a mind free from the constant desire for more. Remember, true wealth isn't measured by the things we own, but by the richness of our experiences, the strength of our relationships, and the impact we have on the world around us. By shifting our focus from material possessions to genuine connection and personal growth, we can break free from the chains of online shopping addiction and embrace a life of true abundance. We live in a culture that glorifies the hustle, the grind, the always-on mentality. We wear our busyness like a badge of honor. But let me tell you something, my friends. True success isn't measured by how many hours you work or how much you sacrifice. It's about finding that sweet spot, that balance between pursuing your passions and nurturing your well-being. Workaholism might seem like dedication on the surface, but deep down, it can be a sign that something else is going on. It's like we're trying to outrun something to fill a void with accomplishment. But here's the truth. Neglecting your physical health, your emotional well-being, your relationships, that comes at a price. And trust me, that's a price you don't want to pay. So how do we break free from this workaholic cycle? It starts with setting boundaries, my loves. Creating space for rest, for rejuvenation, for the things that truly light you up outside of the office. Because when you're truly rested and recharged, you show up as your best self in all areas of your life. I know, easier said than done, right? Setting boundaries can feel uncomfortable at first, especially in a world that often rewards overworking. But think of it this way. You're not saying no to work, you're saying yes to yourself. You're prioritizing your well-being, your relationships, your joy. Start small. Maybe it's setting aside 30 minutes every evening for something you love, like reading a book, taking a bath, or simply disconnecting from work completely. Maybe it's establishing no work zones in your home, sacred spaces where work is off limits. And here's a radical thought: schedule your downtime just like you would a meeting. Put it in your calendar, make it non-negotiable. Remember, you are worthy of rest, of rejuvenation, of a life that's rich and full, both inside and outside of the workplace. We carry these little devices in our pockets, these portals to a world of information, connection, and yes, distraction. But when does our reliance on our smartphones cross the line from convenience to dependency? We've become so accustomed to being constantly connected, to scrolling through feeds, to checking notifications, that we often miss out on the beauty and richness of the present moment. Think about it. How many times have you been out to dinner with loved ones, only to find yourself staring at your phones instead of engaging in meaningful conversation? How many times have you walked right past something beautiful, something awe-inspiring, because your eyes were glued to that little screen? It's time to reclaim our attention, my friends, to break free from the grip of smartphone dependency and rediscover the joy of being present. Now, I'm not saying we need to throw our phones away completely and live off the grid, although that doesn't sound too bad sometimes, does it? But what I am suggesting is that we become more mindful of our usage. Start small. Designate certain areas in your home as phone-free zones. The dinner table, the bedroom, those are sacred spaces for connection and rest. Create rituals around disconnecting. Maybe it's a digital detox day once a week where you completely unplug and reconnect with yourself and the world around you. And here's a thought. Remember those hobbies you used to love, those passions you've been putting off? Maybe it's time to dust them off and give them the attention they deserve. The world is full of wonders waiting to be discovered, but we have to lift our eyes from our screens to truly see them. Let's talk about sugar, my friends. That sweet, tempting treat that seems to call our names from every aisle in the grocery store. We all know that too much sugar is bad for our health, but did you know that sugar can be just as addictive as some drugs? It's true. Sugar triggers those feel-good chemicals in our brains, leaving us craving more and more. And the worst part? Sugar hides in the most unexpected places. It's lurking in our bread, our yogurt, even our salad dressings. It's disguised under a million different names, making it even harder to resist its sweet siren song. But here's the good news. We can break free from sugar's grip. It starts with awareness, with becoming savvy label readers and making conscious choices about what we put into our bodies. Now, I'm not saying you have to give up sweetness altogether. There are plenty of natural, healthier ways to satisfy your sweet tooth. Fruits, for example, are nature's candy. They're bursting with flavor, vitamins, and antioxidants. And let's not forget about the natural sweetness of dates, figs, and other dried fruits. These can be wonderful alternatives to processed sugary snacks. The key is to gradually retrain your taste buds. Start by cutting back on added sugars in your diet. Swap out sugary drinks for water or unsweetened tea. And here's a little trick. Embrace the power of spices. Cinnamon, nutmeg, cardamom. These not only add warmth and depth to your food, but can also help curb those sugar cravings. Remember, you deserve to live a life that's vibrant and healthy, free from the clutches of sugar addiction. News addiction. You know, we live in a world saturated with information, and while staying informed is important, there's a fine line between being aware and being consumed. Have you ever found yourself endlessly scrolling through news feeds, feeling your anxiety spike with every headline? That, my friends, is the pull of news addiction. It's the constant need to know what's happening, even if it leaves us feeling overwhelmed and powerless. We become so bombarded with negativity that it starts to seep into our own outlook on life. But here's the truth. Constantly refreshing for updates doesn't change the outcome of events. What it does do is steal your peace, your joy, and your precious time. It's time to reclaim your power and choose how you consume information. Breaking free from news addiction starts with setting boundaries. Just like we schedule time for work and family, we need to designate specific times for catching up on current events. And remember, it doesn't have to be an all-or-nothing approach. Instead of endlessly scrolling, choose one or two trusted news sources and limit yourself to checking them once or twice a day. Focus on quality over quantity, opting for in-depth analysis rather than sensationalized headlines. And here's a radical idea. Replace some of that news consumption with something uplifting or educational. Read a book, listen to a podcast, or learn a new skill. Fill your mind with things that inspire you, empower you, and bring you joy. Remember, being informed is important, but it shouldn't come at the expense of your mental well-being. Choose to protect your peace and create a healthy relationship with the news. Validation addiction. We all crave validation, that feeling of being seen, heard, and appreciated. But when that desire becomes an insatiable hunger, it can lead us down a dangerous path, the path of validation addiction. We post, we share, we crave those likes and comments, mistaking them for genuine connection and self-worth. But true validation, my friends, can never come from external sources. It has to come from within. When we rely on others to validate our worth, we give away our power. We become slaves to the ever-changing opinions of others, constantly seeking approval instead of owning our truth. Breaking free from validation addiction starts with a shift in focus. Instead of seeking approval from the outside world, turn your attention inward. Cultivate self-reflection and practice gratitude. Start a journal and write down all the things you love about yourself, your accomplishments, your unique gifts. Set personal goals and celebrate your progress. Each step you take towards your own aspirations is a victory, a testament to your strength and resilience. And as you begin to recognize your own worth, you'll find that you need less and less validation from others. Remember, your value is not determined by the number of likes on a post or the opinions of others. You are inherently worthy, just as you are. Embrace your authentic self and let your inner light shine. We've journeyed through 10 of the most common yet often overlooked addictions of our modern time. And here's the thing. These addictions aren't just about substances, they're about habits. Habits that steal our time, our energy, and ultimately, our happiness. But here's the good news. Awareness is the first step to breaking free. By recognizing these patterns, by understanding how they affect our health and well-being, we can start to make different choices. Remember, you have the power to design a life that is intentional, fulfilling, and free from the grip of addiction. It's never too late to reclaim your power, to step into your truth, and to live your best life. Which of these modern addictions surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insights on health, wellness, and living your best life.